Welcome back. This is Mike Goldenberg here with a replay video. I wasn't recording this because I'm relatively new with Amulet Titan. You'll see in round 2 I do make a little bit of a oopsie. But here's the replay. I wanted it to be a little bit quicker than the video was, so I will go through it here. So to start, I have a hand, which I am keeping, and I will go through a little bit quicker. So it's kind of obvious. You just play the Amulet, and then you go from there. My goal here is to get to run a turn to explore. I can see that I'm on against a Vial deck, either spirits or humans. So because of that, with the Vial trigger, I hesitated for a moment here. My big question was whether or not I play EE on 2 or not, because if you look at my next progression of turns, I want to be able to play Trinket Mage next turn, and then Prime Time the turn after, or preferably Prime Time next turn, which means I'm not really going to have too many opportunities to drop that EE. Against spirits or humans, EE on 2 is still a pretty good hit, and it's basically free right now to spend my mana, so I decided to do that. I think that was a big question I had in the beginning of this game. Everything else seemed pretty straightforward. So, drop the Trinket Mage. I already have the EE in place. The next best thing I can grab is a Walking Ballista or another Amulet. I chose the Ballista for a little bit more interaction. Double Amulet might have been more powerful, but I didn't have any Karus in hand, so I felt that the best play was the Walking Ballista. So my opponent did flash in a 2-1. They realized that I'm going to win any long game, so they're getting a beatdown a little bit here. Even though I do have the EE on 2, they have 5 cards in hand, they decided to keep putting the pressure on, drop the second Phantom. I actually drew the Karu land I needed, so now I have enough mana to cast my Prime Time, thanks to Secure Tribe Scout replaying my Gemstone Mine to get double green. Because if you look, the mana base on this deck is kind of rough. So I dropped the Prime Time, trigger in the stack, my opponent immediately pathed it. I think that was incorrect on them. I think they should have held off until after I grabbed the lands and then pathed it. So, because now I'm thinking more, ooh, grab this Teleria West back and get another Prime Time available, instead of let me try to win right now. So that's exactly what I did. I grabbed the Teleria West because I knew that Prime Time was gone, and I just untapped all my lands. Decided to blow up the EE while I had the free mana. My opponent paths their own creature to get some extra lands, and I start beating down with Trinket Mage. So my opponent is now down to 2 cards in hand. They have 2 Vials in play and a Canopy. So you can see they were a little landlocked, which is probably why they pathed their own creature. I'm drawing very well here. My options here are Teleria West to get a Pact and then play Prime Time, or display a giant Walking Ballista. I felt like with the Vial on 3 and my opponent tapping out, I felt like there's a Spell Queller coming up, so I decided to drop the Ballista, which they couldn't Queller. The Pact, however, they could. So I decided to go that and kind of slow play a little bit. By slow play, I mean drop a giant 5/5 Walking Ballista, which kills in 2 turns. So here's me putting 10 mana on that stack. And that also allows me to attack with the little Trinket Mage, because if they do choose to block, I can just kill their creature. When they do activate the Vial, in response, I decide to kill the Phantom just while I can. My other line there was just to stop and just try to race with a giant Walking Ballista. Quick note here, I did properly smell that Queller, so not Teleria Westing to try to drop a Prime Time was the correct play, just running with the Walking Ballista was. So now my opponent kept the Vial on 3, which makes sense, and they now have another Vial on 1. I play the extra land off of the Secure Tribe Scout, and now I happen to naturally draw Prime Time, so I can play around Spell Queller, and I just hardcast them. I float the mana right here, so then I can give him haste. I give him haste. My goal is to go into combat, get some more lands. I bounce the Vesuva because it's the most flexible land, but my opponent has the Reflector Mage, bounces the Titan, and makes me keep beating down with my 2/2. Unfortunately, because they bounce the Titan, I don't have too many other ways to win in the next 2 turns, so Walking Ballista is my clear path to victory right now. Good news is I have a ton of mana here, and my opponent does not have a good clock, and I'm at 17 life because this deck does not hurt itself. So at this point I recognize that Walking Ballista is my route to victory. I chump block with the Tribe Scout, who I don't feel like I need anymore with this many lands in play, so I did that just to save 2 life. My opponent vials in their last card, which is Spirit. In response, before blockers, I kill it, and then just kill my opponent. So that was game 1. Sorry, that was a little quick. I sided in more Engineered Explosives and another Walking Ballista, and I sided out Explore and some packs, because I don't feel like packs are great in this matchup because it is a threat that gets hit by Spell Queller. I also sided out the Bajuka Bog and sided in my Academy Ruins. So that was it was a little quite fast, but that was a really bad opener. It just had 1 land. So I kept this land and scryed and Engineered Explosives to the top. This hand, questionably, maybe I should have bottomed the EE, but Engineered Explosives, I feel, is one of the best cards in this matchup and Vial matchups in general. So my plan here is to drop the Amulet turn 1, turn 2, get the Simic Growth Chamber, try to drop a Scout, and hope to draw into a red land so I can start abrading things. So I know about the EE that I'm drawing, and I just play the Amulet. I perfectly draw into the red land, just like you draw it up, and I play that, and a neat little play here. I felt like there was potentially Spell Queller right here, why else would my opponent not have played anything? So I dropped the Secure Tribe Scout holding a Braid up, and it works out just as according to plan. My opponent eats the Queller, I abrade the Queller, and I walk away with the creature I wanted, and a nice little interaction there. They hold up the 4 mana, which tells me that they have Collected Company, so I once again say, here, take my Secure Tribe Scout, because I have plenty in hand anyway, trying to get it to be quellered. The opponent's not having any of it though, lets it resolve. I bounce some lands, and play a mediocre Walking Ballista, which could be spell quellered. But I feel like I don't have much of a choice here. I need to put some sort of threat under the table. My opponent casts Company and hits two Lords. I made a slight mistake there. I should have happened a little quick there. So what happened was I should have, at the end step, killed their Noble Hierarch with my Walking Ballista. Instead, I waited till their upkeep, just because I'd F6'd. And my opponent was able to tap their Noble Hierarch and path my Ballista. So my Ballista had 1 counter left on it, and I had to choose whether or not I valued my opponent being at 16, or I valued getting that free land. And with where I'm stuck right now, I decided to just let the path resolve after killing the Hierarch, or rather before killing the Hierarch. And with Amulet out, it kind of gives me the mana pretty quickly anyway. So I get punched pretty hard here. My opponent's got a much better clock, and I have 2 EEs in hand, which I think are the best card in the matchup. The problem is that my opponent's got a wide curve, and I really don't want X equals 1 because that wipes out my entire board. So I play the EE on 3 with enough mana to crack it, and pass turn. My opponent cycles a Horizon Canopy, plays a fetch land, and then drops a Lord. I blow up they're Hellbent, so I just decide to write that in there, blow up the 2 Drogskull Captains, and they swing in and punch me down even further. Now at this point, I'm in a little bit of trouble. My plan was to EE on 2, blow up their 2 Lords, and kind of go fair from there. But I draw the Summoner's Pact, my opponent's Hellbent, so now I know I can grab Titan. Unfortunately, this means that I can't cast EE and Titan attack at the same time, so I can't, unless I was doing the math incorrectly at this point. I figured out I couldn't kill my opponent right this second, because I could not cast EE and give my Prime haste at the same time. So I decided to just go for it. This is the play I was talking about earlier that may have been a mistake. So you notice the Slayer's Stronghold is in play, so I will need to grab a Karoo land, the Boros Garrison, and something else to bounce this back. So you can see I put it in play. Turn it back, replay it, give the creature haste. Now at this point, I probably should have just gone EE on. I should have just gone EE on 2. So you play the Simic Growth Chamber, tap it for 2, play the Grill Turf with a Secure Tribe Scout, bounce a land back to my hand, and then I can blow up their blockers. But I didn't count correctly, so I end up just attacking, giving my opponent exactly 1 out at the end of this. So I do attack with the 8/6 Vigilance, Haste, Trample, Double Striker, because I'm about to give him Double Strike. So my opponent blocks because otherwise they're dead. They go down to 3. And then I drop the EE. So my opponent has exactly 1 out right here. Because I can blow up the EE by tapping the Secure Tribe Scout with the Amulet in play. I play Grill Turf, bounce a land to my hand, untap Grill. I have 2 mana to blow up the EE. However, I believe my opponent Coco's into double Captain. Drugs with a 3-drop Captain. That would be 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, it's only 4, 5. Never mind. So no matter what, I didn't make a mistake, but I still should have had lethal that turn. And my opponent untaps and concedes. So tough deck to play. Tough deck to manage through. You can see I only have 9.5 minutes of clock left, and we only played 2 games. One reason why I was thinking of sharing this video this way instead of recording it live, I was still thinking through all the lines, and I didn't want to make a super boring, super slow video where I used, way more clock than my opponent. So I'll get to the list. This is my Temur list. I'm also trying a white, and I'm also trying a black version too. So I've liked Explorer so far. Everyone that I've read says, Explorer is terrible to cut it. I think I should try to find room for 1 Sky Shroud just to be the 5th Secure Tribe Scout, because they really do make a difference. Even though this is a gut shot meta, I still think if you untap with them, you're in a much better spot. 29 lands. I would like to find a way to cut to 28. I think 29 is a bit greedy in a weird way. Greedy too many lands. But I do. It may be 29 lands, but I actually don't have that many lands I can turn 1 Secura or Ancient Stirrings. If you really just look, Cavern can't cast Stirrings, but I have, to cast Secura, I have 1 Cavern, 3 Forest, 4 Gemstein Mine, 2 Grove, and that is it. Which is really rough when you think about it. I'm only having 10 ways to cast a Secure Tribe Scout turn 1, 9 ways to cast an Ancient Stirrings turn 1. This deck can sometimes lose to itself a little bit, which is why I think it needs to be aggressively mulliganed. This build, it tries to maximize Walking Ballista and Engineered Explosives. I actually even have an Academy Ruin in the sideboard. Now, weaknesses of this list, I don't have a way to really deal with a Thing in the Ice. A Braid does not kill Thing in the Ice. So my plan there would be to just keep looping Engineered Explosives thanks to Trinket Mage and the Academy Ruins. I don't think too many people are going to bring Grave Hate against me here, so I think that's a safe, fine play. Batterskull is taking an Obstinate Baloth slot right now. I'm debating whether or not I like being able to Pact for a life gainer or Stirrings for 1. Since Jund is since Liliana the Veil is really at a downturn right now, I think Batterskull might be a little bit more powerful, especially with Culligan's command being a little bit weaker. Still tweaking this list. Typical me, I went a little bit grindier in the side. As you can see, just full-on graveyard package right here with Ramanop and Academy. I did want to find room for the second Ghost Quarter in this list, but so many things you squeeze into this deck, and there's really only 5 to 6 flex spots, despite how amazing and flexible this deck is. So that's the match. Hope you like it. I'll see you in the next one.